of the California Arts Council and Beverly Hills Arts Commission is the former West Coast editor of Andy Warhol's Interview magazine and society editor of the Herald Examiner. Her cover stories can be read in Venice and Detour magazines, and she is a contributing editor to California Apparel News. For the next half hour, Joan will bring you inside news and views on society, art, film, and the exhilarating worlds of these multifaceted people. Here is Joan Quinn.
Hi, welcome to Joan Quinn, etc. And I'm Joan Quinn. We have two fine actors with us today, Nelly Alard and Dan Gerrity. Nelly Alard, a graduate of France's National Conservatory of Dramatic Arts, made her film debut in 1990 in Henry Jaglom's Eating. By 1992, she was the star of Jaglom's film Venice, Venice. Nelly worked in the theater in Paris and had a starring role in an English-language series called Riviera, which made her very famous on French TV. In addition to this, Nelly is a documentary filmmaker. Tell us about the documentary films.
I'm not a documentary filmmaker. I just did one documentary in my life, and that was the one about Henry Jaglom. So
is that what happened? And I believe that you were really a filmmaker?
Yeah, I know. Well, you know, the thing about the way Henry works is that people confuse reality and movies all the time. So it's very funny, actually. People come to me and think I'm a documentary filmmaker because I was playing that in Eating, or people come to me and think I'm a journalist because that's what I play in Venice, Venice. And I have to say, well, you know, I'm just an actress. And then people come to me and say, are you really French? And I wish I could just come up with a Brooklyn accent, but no, I'm real French.
You're really So I was fooled from the film Eating. Mm-hmm. You were making a documentary, or you weren't making
I was
one?
hired as an actress by Henry Jaglom on the phone. But the reason why I got the idea that I previously, 2 years before that, I actually came to America to make a documentary about him. But I was, you know, I had known him before and I liked his films and I just was interested in doing that. That's the only documentary I've made in my life.
Is that, oh, so it really was acting, but you had the idea in your mind, so maybe that's how the whole thing worked out.
The way Henry works also is that, you know, he gets his ideas from real life and what's happening around him, and even though he always, you know, we've known each other for a couple of years, and he told me that he wanted to work with me very much. He got the idea of the part when he saw me around with the camera.
That's what I was wondering. So when you got the role in Eating, did you start writing it? Was it all in your mind?
What was in my mind?
Being, how to act as a documentarian.
Well, you know, the character in Eating was not supposed to be so far from me. She was a documentary filmmaker coming from France, but actually her purpose was also her own interest in the subject matter, which was eating and food, and she had some personal reasons to do that, so I didn't try to make her a real professional documentary filmmaker that was irrelevant to the movie. The basic idea was that she wanted to document this subject. So because she was herself, you know, she had some problems with food and eating and stuff. Were
you just new to Los Angeles when you did that, or had you been here many times?
I had been here before. Well, the reason why I did this documentary is that I had met Henry before, and he had introduced me to all these fascinating people he's been working with, Orson Welles, Jack Nicholson, Dennis Hopper, Bob Rafelson, Peter Bogdanovich. I just wanted, you know, somehow to keep a track of that and to document that. I thought it was fascinating to just go and interview these people.
Did you get that on film?
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
So that is
I have
true.
a 52 minutes documentary about Henry Jaglom, interviewing all these people, and yeah.
And that's been shown?
That's been shown, yeah, all over Europe in festivals, and you know.
Did you edit it yourself?
Yes, I spent such a long time editing it, but yeah.
Well, then I think you count as a filmmaker as well as a very good actress.
We'll see.
What was the reason for your coming to Los Angeles?
Well, the first time, you mean? First time I just came to visit, you know, and I had met Henry in Paris, where he was back from the Cannes Film Festival, and you know, when I came here for just visit, he introduced me to these people, and then afterwards I came to do this documentary, and then afterwards I came back to do Eating, and then afterwards I came back to do Venice, Venice.
But you spoke English obviously very well if you played an English language series.
Yeah,
in
well,
France.
I learned English at school.
So. What was a typical day on the set of Venice, Venice?
Well, typical day. You just show up on the set, not too early in the morning, which is really nice for actors. I mean, at least actors like me. I'm also a theater actress, so I'm much more alive at night than at 7 o'clock in the morning. So that's really nice about the way Henry works, is that you show up. We start shooting around 11 or so because he's a late sleeper in the morning. So the shoot starts pretty late, and it's very relaxed because there's no makeup, there's nothing. You just show up basically with your own wardrobe. You have decided before, you know, what you want to wear, but there's no, you know, it's not like 2 hours makeup and hair stuff.
But being in the theater, you probably know how to do your own makeup.
Yeah. But Henry doesn't want that, you know. The least makeup, you have to trick him a little bit to wear a little makeup, but without him noticing it, so because he doesn't want it. And which is fine with me because I don't.
Is it always on location, or is it in?
Always on location.
So you don't work in a studio. Well, we have a clip, and it's on location in Venice, Italy, because the film is Venice, Italy, and Venice, California. And let's look at the clip. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Well, that scene just happens. I play the role of a journalist who comes to the Venice Film Festival to interview this filmmaker, but the real purpose of her being there is that she, through his movies, she's kind of fell in love with the person that, you know, the person that he has on screen, and she comes to the Venice Film Festival and to see that man, and she finds the real person, and the real person is a little different from what she expected him to be.
Oh, he is. Well, let's see what he's like.
Okay, see you around.
See you later.
Okay, take care.
Okay, bye.
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 Bye-bye. Enchanté.
Nice to meet you.
He's a nice man. It's a little different perspective on this whole thing.
Yeah, well, it's funny. Never thought about you as a businessman.
I don't think of me very much as a businessman either, no.
Well, it's part of the work, I guess.
Well, don't sound so disappointed. I mean, it's part of the work. Of course it's a part of the work. I think you know, you live a little bit maybe in a dream world about that. It's just some sort of, I do the best I can, but I have to deal with these realities of, I mean, you look so sad. I mean,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to look sad. I don't know, maybe I'm sad a little bit, yeah.
Why are you sad?
I don't know, it's like, because I should be happy, you know, just a little sad not being as happy as I should be. Probably, something like that. You know, when you're on a beautiful, you know, like everything's perfect, and you say, so it's perfect, so what?
Yeah,
you know?
I know.
That kind of direction that Henry gives is so casual, the way you were talking about it before. Does that really help you as an actress?
Well, it gives you a lot of freedom, and it's also scary in a way. So you have to just have a lot of trust in the filmmaker. Obviously, you just have to trust him and go for it.
Has he been compared to Woody Allen?
Yeah, you know.
Do you feel like you're a part of some kind of serious filmmaking body of work that eventually will
certainly Henry's, you know, is building he's very, very special in his way of making movies, and he's building how do you call that? I'm looking for the word in English, but yes, he's an artist.
Where are you living now?
I'm living in Paris. I assume, I don't know exactly. I'm somewhere in the middle. I could land anywhere. I've been on many planes recently, and I don't know exactly where I live anymore.
Do you have a house here?
I just moved into a house here, yeah.
So you really will be back?
I would, you know, in the idea I would fly back and forth, but I would love to stay here.
Did you ever, being from France and tall and very beautiful, did you ever think of modeling?
Well, I had a kind of I was asked a few times when I was, younger, and I had a kind of resistance to that. I don't know why, because I wanted to be taken seriously as an actress and so on. And now I think maybe I should have done it, probably, but I didn't want to do it at the time.
Did you always want to be an actress then? Was that the point?
I didn't think about it seriously when I was a child, because in my family it was just not a thing that you would consider doing. But I was the kind of child who would rehearse playing, just direct plays with cousins and sister, brother, whatever. So it was always very, very present.
So it was a part. Do you like to travel since you're back and forth so much?
I like traveling, yeah.
Do you speak a lot of different languages?
I speak German, French, English. That's it. That's all.
Have you acted in any of those other languages?
No, just French and English. I would be able to act in German, I think.
On your travels, do you ever collect anything? Do you have any ideas about acquiring things? Or?
No, I have really not a lot of interest for things. Maybe too, in an extreme way. I'm not attached to things. I don't know exactly what it is. Otherwise I would not be able probably to travel so much. I'm not very interested in things.
So what do you like to do when you're not acting?
Well, I like to read. I like to be with people. I like to walk around. I'm able to spend a lot of time just dreaming and about. I don't know. Yes, I'm a very dreamy person. I like to write.
I was wondering if you would, since you have to practically write your own work when you're working with him.
Yeah. Well, I'm also a writer. I just finished a play which is going to be published in France, and I'm still working on the final draft of it. And I wrote also a screenplay which was produced. So I'm also a writer.
Well, do you write for yourself? Do you put yourself in the lead?
No, actually not so far. Probably will consider doing that one day, but not so far. Yeah.
And before we leave, tell our viewers what your ideal lifestyle would be.
My ideal lifestyle would be, well, as I said before, I'm not very attached to things, so it's not like the surroundings for me are not so important. I think people are really important, so what makes you happy, I think, is what you feel. So, what I really want is love, friends, people around me that I really care about and who care about me, and that's what, for me, all life is all about.
Thanks. We care about you, and we love seeing you in Venice, and eating, and we're looking forward to seeing you on the stage.
Thank you.
Thanks to Nelly Alard, and don't go away. We'll be right back with Dan Gerrity. Hi, welcome back. It's Joan Quinn, and I'm with Dan Gerrity, who was born in New York and raised in Long Island. He went to SUNY in Albany, then studied acting at the Neighborhood Playhouse with Sanford Meisner. He's appeared in stand-up tragedy at the Mark Taper in Los Angeles and on Broadway at the Criterion Theater. His role in Bouncers took him from the Tiffany Theater in Los Angeles to the off-Broadway Minetta Lane Theater. He's written the play Melody Jones, a striptease in 2 acts. He makes his debut as a produced playwright, as a director, and not a debut as an actor, but you act in it too. That means you've done a lot on stage.
Yeah, a lot.
Tell us a little bit about the Melody Jones thing.
Well, Melody Jones, it's turned out to be a real joy. That's the first play, and Ron Link helped put this together from the get-go.
Our favorite director.
Yeah, a great director, yeah. He had optioned the book and put me to work on it. And to be fair, I did write it with a collaborator, Jeremy Lawrence.
Yes.
And Jeremy was represented here in Los Angeles with Cabaret Verboten, which he also did off-Broadway in New York. And we initially, Gordon Davidson at the Taper gave us a 10-day workshop period. It's adapted from a novel. novel by David
So
Galloway.
you didn't actually write the role for yourself. You just saw yourself in the lead.
No, but what's funny though, no, I didn't, not at all. Melody Jones, that's what I play. That only happened 10 days before we opened. I'd written the role of the bartender for myself.
Oh.
And we had to make a cast change.
Ah.
So, because I wrote it, you could say I knew the role best, but that's how I stepped into that role.
Oh, I see. And I think I said you directed, but Ron directed
Ron
it.
directed it.
Yeah, Ron directed it.
Yeah.
But did you help him?
Oh, sure. Well, you know, if you're going to work with a director as a writer, you know, it becomes a collaborative effort. But to be fair, the direction always falls into Ron's lap, and I would also say he had some influence on the writing of it as well.
I was going to say, you have to, you've written it, so you know the character really well. How do you put that trust in someone to get from you what you've really had in your mind? You have to put that trust in Ron, right?
Oh, sure. But Ron is so specific about what it is he wants to achieve on stage that just through discussion it comes out. And once you know the way a director like Ron Link works, it's very easy to think of, well, what sequence of dialogue here will best support that. Yeah.
Say if someone like Gordon Davidson directed it, would it turn out to be different?
Sure, because Gordon would bring to it what his interest would be, or something that would exemplify his manner of staging, you know. And if it's a work that you're creating with a director, certainly, yeah, Gordon would have a very strong influence on it in another direction.
Tell us a little bit about, and I use the word loosely, bizarre characters. I think your character is pretty bizarre.
Yeah, well, it is kind of a strange story. All right, I'll give you a little bit of the background. It's set in a Buffalo, New York striptease joint in the early 70s. Now, it is the early 70s, so this striptease joint is also a cover for a gay bar. It's kind of pre-liberation days that way. And Melody Jones is the owner and the MC of the place. He has a withered arm. He is a voyeur. He has an apartment over the bar with a two-way mirror. He loves to watch the goings-ons. He refers to his clientele as his little sexual aquarium. And during the course of the evening, you meet all the other people who work there, both the bartenders, the regulars, the bartenders, the piano player, and then all the strippers that job through.
It's a very cabaret, very East German, Berlin feeling to me.
Yeah, a lot of people have said that. I would agree with that, and it's funny enough because the author of the novel now makes his home in Wuppertal, Germany.
Is that right?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, he's working on a German
And
translation.
you had this like affectation that kind of reminded me of something very scary.
Yeah, it's a little bit like playing the Elephant Man. I mean, Melody has a withered arm, so I mean, we use makeup, and I, you know, hold my hand a certain way and use it a certain way throughout the evening. So there's a dark edge to it.
Yes.
As you know, you saw the show. A lot of it is very funny and bouncy, but there's kind of a dark, secretive side to it as well.
We're going to see a little bit of it on tape. You brought us a little bit of tape. So,
Okay.
what part is it? You remember?
This is Melody. He's talking to the crowd at the Melody Bar, and he's introducing all the girls who are going to perform there this evening.
The strippers. So it's just before the evening's entertainment.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll watch that.
About all of you is that you're here for something you are not getting at home. So, I give it to you here, and then you take it home, and I don't mind if you tell her where you got the inspiration, because if you give it to her with the joy I give it to you, she ain't gonna mind either. So welcome all you boys and Buffalo gals. What's going on tonight? And that applies to you right down front here looking, oh, so serious in these button-down horn rims. Yes, welcome! Welcome to the hottest little strip joint between New York and L.A. Chip's at the piano. Thank you, Buffalo. Joe's at the bar. Hello there. They both asked me to remind you that tipping is not a city in China. The girls are waiting, so relax. Let yourselves go. But remember, ecstasy and reality don't always meet. For now, it's a new decade. Anything is possible. Meet some of the possibilities. Put your hands together, since you can, and welcome our very own Whirlin' Twirlin' Tessie!
Anybody can take their clothes off, but twirling is a gift. Like you either got them muscles or you hate me. I got them muscles in spades and I know how to use them. Hey, I'm the girl with the atomic. And And I ought to be good, because these tits have been around the block a few times.
And Sandra May of the Giggling, Wiggling Gully Sisters!
People always say, don't you get tired of dancing like that? And what they don't know, but what probably find really funny is that not only do I not get tired of dancing, my very favorite thing to do on a night off is to go out dancing. Crazy, huh?
And topping our bill, and who could refuse Miss Dazzling Danseuse, Brenda the Breast!
What a place to make a cut, huh?
And who were you introducing?
Brenda the Breast.
Oh, that was the cut.
Well,
They'll just have
I
to
think you might have missed the best part, but we'll have to live with it.
tell us who else was on there.
Oh, and then we had Stephanie Blake, who's Miss Mary Louise, and she delivers the goods.
You're jumping back and forth and
Yes,
really
but then
emoting.
Yes, but then a minute later, you see me go up to my apartment, and you start to see the manic depressive there. You see me sitting up there with a cocktail, not really enjoying much of anything. So that's more of the character I present to the audience in the club.
But what does Dan Gerrity do? Do you take singing, dancing, acting lessons?
Well, you know, I think I started out interested in the musical theater. You know, growing up near New York, going in and seeing shows and all of that, doing musicals in high school. So I could always sing.
You do sing now. You can sing?
I can sing, but I don't. You know.
You don't take singing lessons?
No. But that led into my first few jobs. I mean, there was a lean time in New York. I got a job singing in Florida, down at the Eden Rock and the Fontainebleau and the Diplomat. And then some friends wanted to check out a singing gig in San Francisco. Went out there, ended up in a show up there called Beach Blanket Babylon, which has been running forever. Yeah, I was in the original company of that.
Steve Silver.
All right. Yeah.
Oh, and so you sang. You had to sing.
Oh, sure.
And you had to dance.
Oh, yeah. It was a singing tap dancing Christmas tree
Right.
and an M&M peanut and assorted other things.
But are you taking dancing lessons? Do you take dancing lessons?
No. But I mean, it's part of my background. It's what I learned. When I first moved to Los Angeles, first job I got was down at the Taper with the Improvisational Theater Project. And Alfred Woodard was in the company at that time, and Nathan Cook, and just great people, and we worked on a lot of physicality. So the more skills that you had in your back pocket, the better off you were anyway.
But Bouncers was like that,
Bouncers,
wasn't it?
yeah, sure. Bouncers, you're talking about people who have a real strong physical background. You know, Garrett Graham, his whole Second City background, you know. Not mime like Marcel Marceau mime, but, you know, utilitarian mime. And because, you know, Bouncers had no set. We created everything, 4 men on stage the whole time.
But do you work out? How do you keep sharp?
I pray I don't keel over, you know. There were a couple of points in the run of Bouncers I thought I was going to pass out, but I didn't.
Have you done a lot of film work?
Not a whole lot. I'd like to do more. I've done mostly TV work here, and oddly enough, for somebody who lives in Los Angeles, I've done a lot of stage work.
I know, it's so strange.
A lot of stuff that started here, we've taken into New York, you know.
Why have you done more TV than film, do you think?
You know, I think it has a lot to do with I'm too often committed to being in a play. And when you're working on it, you can accommodate a television job. You know, you can guest star in something for a week when you're in rehearsals. You might miss Friday night for a taping. And film is more of a commitment down the road. You know, so there've been a few jobs, but...
But you know, the stage in Los Angeles now is really taken on so that so many celebrities or stars or whatever you want to call them are all going back to small theaters and working in...
Oh, sure, but there's a good reason for that, too. You know, on television, you're not really prized for the diversity of characters you can play. You really can only do that in the theater. I mean, I think you speak to most working television actors, they'll tell you they're being cast a certain way is money in the bank, you know. But in the theater, I mean, I've played a wide variety of roles on stage, you know, from everything from the Cockney guys and Bouncers to this character, Melody Jones, and, you know, you wouldn't get that opportunity on television.
That's right. How do you work on that accent?
Well, let's see. We had a wonderful dialect coach named Jillian Eaton who helped. Oh, sure. Yeah, you have to have somebody else work. I was Ron Link's assistant director for the Australian premieres of Neil Simon's Brighton Beach Memoirs. Herb Gardner's on that Rappaport. I was also the dialect coach.
Oh, so you really know how to develop dialects and how to...
Well, speaking an American dialect and teaching it to Australians, it sort of came easy, you know. But yes, yeah, no, I do have an idea of how to get it across.
Our time is just about out, but before we leave, what would Dan Gerrity consider his ideal lifestyle?
My ideal lifestyle? My ideal lifestyle would be autumn in New York, winter in Los Angeles, and the other 6 months in Europe, Paris and London. That would be ideal. Yeah.
With all the accoutrements to go with it.
Absolutely, absolutely. The big expense account to go with it. A working vacation.
That's very good. Yeah. And we hope that Dan gets his ideal lifestyle, and we'll be back with you next time on Joan Quinn, etc. Thanks for being with us.